Hello? 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 Hi! Hello? 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 Hi! Hello? 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 Did you guys have a good day? Hello? 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 Hi, Vamp. Hello? Hello? Did you guys have a good day? Happy to see you, lovey bunny. Hello? 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 Somebody on YouTube was like, where's Woman of Gaming? I'm here. Zombie, thank you so much for the 22 months of support, you blackjack and hookers from a bunny. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, hello. Hello, did you guys have a good day? How is everything? I saw that the reviews of Bloodline came today, and maybe I thought it would be a good idea for us to look at them together. Or at least some of them. Not all of them. Imagine watching all of them, oh god. Hello. I did. I'm just excited, and thinking of Eno. Somebody asked if I beat Eno. Is there such a thing as beating Eno? I guess. I'm just not sure how. Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're a bit mixed so far. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it would be fun for us to take a look together. Because, I don't know. Beating Eno is cheese maxing. Giving cheese to the entire population and everyone is happy. Oh my gosh. Starfire Girl, thank you so much for the 21 months. Velasca, thank you so much for gifting us up to Larry. And Zombie, thank you so much for your 22 months. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Hey Lua, how are you and Boo? So, a few days ago my wife said that if I bought another stupid gift for her, she would burn it. Today I bought her a candle. Do you think she will like it?
At least that one it's safe if she burns, right? Medeiros, thank you so much for the 26 months. I hope she likes it. At least that one is safe to burn. Because imagine if, I don't know, he got something else, like fireworks. Nice. As an N Rice fan, I hope the game will be decent. I don't know what you think yet. Thank you so much, Medeiros. Thank you so much for the 26 months of support to Blackjack and Hookers for my bunny. Did you guys watch some of the reviews for Vampire? Am I coded? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of bothered by this coat that I'm wearing. It's just... Is that what's happening? What Vampire? Yeah. I just read the summaries. Not pre-watch them. You call yourself pure? What does that mean? I don't understand what game we are talking about. Okay, so there are different levels of involvement of people here. At the same time, we have AJMB in chat that pre-ordered the game in 2020. And then we have somebody on the other corner saying, what is this game? We might have some other people in the other corner saying, what are reviews? Who am I? Gosh. For those of you who don't know anything about Vampire Bloodlines, Vampire Bloodline is a game that we've recently... When did the Vampire Bloodlines came out? Originally? Deepa, thank you so much for the 11 months. 1999? 2004? 2004. Yeah, Bloodlines, I think it was 2004. Deepa, thank you so much for the 11 months of support to Blackjack and Hookers for my bunny. Thank you. Somebody on YouTube is asking, what are video games? Okay, we'll get to that soon. So we actually played the original Bloodlines on stream recently. Very recently, earlier this year. How many months ago? And I really liked that game. It was very lovely. In fact, I loved that game a lot. I thought it was quite unique, and it was really fun. I remember having like a big fight with a stop sign, basically because the stop sign said stop, and my character was offended by the thought of something trying to stop them, and it even involved me accidentally shooting a random bystander in the street that was just walking by the street, and then they just got shot. And I don't know, I really loved the game. It was really fun. And while I was playing that game, people said that the new game would come out soon. And I was like, huh? And it's funny because at the time that we started talking about Bloodlines, there was absolutely no signs of the second one. Like, we knew that it was coming, but that was about it. And the game had been, well, the game was supposed to initially be released in March of 2020. So during our playthrough of Bloodlines, we were actually joking around if the game was actually going to come this year. And most of the sentiment was like, probably not. Because, you know, given the previous 5 years, you know, I feel like it was kind of like a reasonable guess. When I went to Gamescom, I ran by Sven. You guys probably know Sven or heard about him. Sven is the CEO of Larian. And Sven was like, we're about to check out Bloodlines too, because they were having, like, they were showing off the game to specific people, but you needed an appointment. And they were like, you want to go with us? And I joined them. So I joined Sven and the Larian group to see Bloodlines. I got to talk a little bit with some of the devs, and that's when I realized, damn, the game is actually real. And but again, it was a very limited thing. I didn't really, you know, usually when I go to places like this, I would rather spend my time talking with the devs that are there. I even got to meet their creative director, that turns out was a lady that worked in Wizards of the Coasts and helped a lot in, like, the bridge between Wizards and Larian for Baldur's Gate 3. But yeah, that's basically the story so far that we know of Bloodlines 2. And today the reviews came out, and I thought it would be fun to watch them together. Oh, I also got to meet Jason Carl. He was lovely. He was very lovely. Jason Carl, he does the he's like I think the producer for the Bloodlines tabletop games, because Bloodlines is also a tabletop game. So yeah, that's basically the story so far. For those of you who have no idea about Bloodlines 2, this is the extent of... I have been personally really looking forward to Bloodlines 2. I really liked the first game. And I don't know. Let's see what the reviews will be. We'll start watching soon. Well, I don't know. How many days until the release of the game? Is it 2 days? 3 days? Is it 3 days? Do you guys think we have time to replay Bloodlines 1 as Nosferatu? I don't think so. I don't think. Nosferatu, sorry. I always say the name wrong. You can't fix me. I don't think we have time. But again, we played very recently. Secret dancing? Shoglo, usually for RPGs, I only see the endings that... I never even watched all the Baldur's Gate endings. I only see the endings that I have done. Because I feel like it just takes away from... If we ever want to replay, to... You know... You know, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen the reviews. I know people are on the edge. I honestly don't know. It's hard to tell. Can I just point out something probably interesting for some of you? Did you guys know that the original Bloodlines at release it was very buggy. In fact, I don't think the game ran, and basically a bunch of modders fixed the game, and the game became a passion. Bloodlines at release was completely... The original one was completely unplayable. The one that came in 2004. And the reviews were really bad. But then, modders fixed the game, made it playable, and then it became a cult classic a few years down. In fact, the original Vampire Bloodlines at release was so poorly seen that the studio even closed down. So it's one of the reasons why Bloodlines 2 has taken so long, and it has been quite a long process too. So I'm just saying that because I feel like this game seems to have a lot of baggage. Does that make sense? Fleischer, it's just that sometimes when it comes to release, and sometimes when it comes to deadline, is that the longer that you go without releasing a game, you have to pay a lot of people, and sometimes you just run out of money. Just to say. So sometimes it's not really up to the devs when to release a game. In fact, a lot of the times the devs know when the game is not ready to release, but sometimes they just don't have a choice because they just don't have money to keep paying their employees. So I find that to be very short-sighted, and people who don't really have a lot of grasp on what actually goes on in the industry, when they say, I just don't release the game. If things were that simple, maybe things would be done like that. But ultimately, a lot of things are not simple. Nothing in life is black and white. Savi, thank you so much for the 23 months of support. You blackjack and hookers from a bunny. So, but again, different people had very different experiences with the original Bloodline. What did I like best about Bloodlines 1? I think my favorite thing about Bloodlines 1, it was how the game had this vibe that was just like cool. Like it felt like it was a cool vibe, you know, like, and not only that, the game felt very unique, especially because I started playing as a Malkavian, and Malkavian, like even the letters in the game, they're absolutely like obnoxious, and it was actually quite hard to read. And even if after I read what my character said, a lot of times I was like, huh? And I don't know, I just thought, what made that game so special to me was how unique it was. How I had never seen like an RPG like that. Like the different classes, they meant a lot. So classes that I mean is like the different vampires, they meant a lot. I didn't experience the other ones, only Malkavian, and Malkavian was absolutely insane. Like my character had a mental breakdown and started fighting a stop sign. My character once hallucinated that the TV was talking to her. So it was just very different, and I love that. It was fun. It was fun. I also remember that we did a quest that required us to murder somebody that was being a fake. Somebody that was faking being a prostitute to spy on people. And to spy on the vampires. Because the entire thing about Bloodlines and Vampire the Masquerade is that there is this masquerade, and the masquerade needs to go on, and this person was a prostitute infiltrating a brothel, trying to, you know, figure out about the masquerade. We had to kill her, and this was really hard because I had to kill this prostitute, but there was this guy that wouldn't stop gooning her. Like, he had like, what do you call like those peep things that you put money and then the window opens, and he would just start watching her dance. And I sit there for like so fucking long, and the guy would just not be done with it. And when he finally ran out of money, he walked out of the room for like 3 seconds. There was an ATM. He got more money, and then he just kept gooning. And it was like really hard to kill this lady. My Space Your Face, thank you so much for the 30 months. Thank you. Yeah. How did he have the energy? I don't know. He was literally goon maxing. I want you to also let you guys know that here. I want to let you guys know that oh, you guys can see. I do have a review copy of Bloodlines 2, but I never played it because I find that those things are better to just experience it on stream with you guys. So no, I never played it. I never opened the game. I mean, you can see it's fresh. I literally just installed, just so you guys can see that I could press the play button, but I just never did. So, you know, basically installed it just to tease you guys about it. I never pressed the play button. I'm sorry. We'll press it together when the game comes out in 3 days. Yeah, well, I pre-installed Yeah, no shit. No, I'm not tempting you guys or anything. I'm just going to press the play button when we can in 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. 3 days from now is when we can press the play button. Then we can play together. Then... Hold on, let me move Bloodlines away. Just so I don't accidentally press the play button. What happens if I press it now? If I press the play button while on stream, I would be in a lot of trouble. Probably not, because I wouldn't be... Even if I press the play button, you guys wouldn't be able to see the game. So it would be fine. Rama says, do you know how to read? Because I find that it was obvious that the game had never been opened. Yep. Vivi, that doesn't work because I don't have another copy, right? So that's just not how it works. It's just not how it works, buddy. Valeska, thank you. Well, I mean, if I wanted to just play the game, I could just tell you guys that I have been playing the game and I could just release a review, you know? But I didn't. Is it bad that I find it more valuable to share the experience with you guys, especially with certain types of games? And I find that if I do get like an early copy of the game, I will install it and then I'll tease you guys with the play button. I find that to be more enjoyable than actually being able to play the game early. I find that teasing you guys is to be a much more... How do you mean that's mean? Why? I'm literally going to... I plan to do things with you guys. That's not mean. It's kind of like I'm just teasing. I could, but I won't. How do you mean I'm sick? No, I'm not. Edge maxing? Sick? I don't know. No, my face-to-face, I didn't. Otherwise, you guys would say, played for 1 minute, played for... I never opened the game. That's why I showed that screen. The famous woman of gaming, TM? Gosh, that guy was crazy. I kind of miss Heroes of Might and Magic. That's another game I'm looking forward to. You guys want to know another game I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to Outer Worlds 2. I'm looking forward to Crimson Desert. I'm really looking forward to Crimson Desert. Oh man. I would be looking forward to an XCOM 3. The problem is... when? You know? XCOM 3 would be so good. There is no signs of an XCOM 3. And that's the saddest thing. However, remember how I told you guys that I did talk with the devs about a little bit about Bloodlines 2. So there are things that I've seen some people ask about every now and then that I just cannot comment. So it doesn't mean that I haven't been reading, it's just I can't say certain things. I do have YouTube on my screen, but you need to understand that there was a lot more comments coming on Twitch, so yeah. Every now and then, if there is anything interesting on YouTube chat, I will get to it. You guys think XCOM is dead? I don't think XCOM is dead. What's that, Chris? That's oddly familiar. I kinda... Sexy aliens? Well, XCOM 2 made me realize that I may or may not be attracted to... lizards? Well, kind of like Larian kind of caused that for me. Because like the divinity like lizards, they're like, damn. Like they have like those hips and that waist that's like, damn, you know? Just like, damn. I think I even had a video of that. We'll start watching the review soon. Hold on. No, I don't have it anymore. That's sad. If you haven't played XCOM, XCOM is great. I think after Baldur's Gate 3, XCOM was the first game that made my eyes shine. Like, damn, this is good. XCOM 2 was amazing. I look vampires. Oh, thank you. I have been very excited for vampire stuff. I find that Bloodlines 1 gave me a taste for vampire stuff and made me crave more vampire stuff. And I feel like there's a severe lack of vampire games. But now there's also the Downwalker coming, right? That's also exciting. Downwalker should be next year. I did visit Rebel Wolves Studios when I was in Poland. I talked with the devs a little bit. I also saw them at Gamescom, and then I saw them at PAX again. Yeah, that one is also looking good. I got to meet the actor behind the Cohen. Cohen is the protagonist. He's really nice. Good. You know what's missing? And it's kind of like heartbreaking. I really want a pirate RPG. I have been craving a good pirate RPG for like years. And I just don't know why nobody makes a good pirate RPG. Like, nobody makes a good pirate game. It's just, what's happening? Like... Pirates have such potential. You know, you can have like tentacles, you can have magic, you can have it more realistic, you can have it be more fantasy, you can have it like have shanties and great music. Where are our pirate games? Yeah, there are lots of great pirate movies, but where are the games? Oh, you guys! Can I tell you what I started doing last night? It's on topic. Can you guys guess what I started watching last night? While I was playing Anno like a degenerate. No, guys, of course not Lord of the Rings. Try something else. Twilight? No. Anyone? I am so disappointed. Those guesses are so bad. God. YouTube guessed 50 Shades. Pirates of the Caribbean? No. That's a better guess, though. Digimon? You think I started watching Digimon? How could I have that crossed your mind? Somebody on YouTube guessed paint drying. Honestly, I feel like paint drying would be a better fit for me to watch than some of the things you guys are saying in chat. I feel like I would honestly find paint drying more entertaining than some of this stuff. But anyways, I started watching Castlevania. I can't believe not a single person guessed. No, I did not see it before. I did not see it before. I'm enjoying it. Again, I'm craving like some vampires. Like before I got this Eno problem, I like, and then after stream I was playing. Remember when we played Megabonk on stream? After playing Megabonk on stream, that really made me crave playing Vampire Survivors. And then I played a lot of Vampire Survivors off stream. Wait, what new show, Lisha? You were so close. I have been. What's better, Vampire Survivor or Megabonk? I think Vampire Survivor is better. I think Vampire Survivor feels more like it feels less random. It feels less RNG. It feels. I never played Vampire Survivors on stream. I really like him. I really like Vampire Survivors. It's not about content, it's just that I find that leveling up in Megabonk is like a random. Like even like how you progress your skills. And I feel like there was a more like of a science when it comes to making your build in Vampire Survivors. I don't know. Never heard of House of Torment. Am I a vampire or a vampire hunter? I feel like it depends on the mood. Yesterday somebody asked when we were playing Eno if I would prefer being a vampire, werewolf, or I don't remember, something else. And they were really upset with my answer. Anyways, let's go watch the reviews. Yep. Tagshin, you know, it's messages like this that makes me question reading YouTube chat, you know? Like, well, I don't understand why somebody would type what you typed. Like, what is a Lua? Miserable pile of panic. Like, that's nonsensical. I'm not miserable. I'm quite happy. I'm not in panic. Lua is a programming language. Like, it's just like there was some... Oh, it's a quote from Castlevania? Oh. So I got whooshed. Maybe I didn't get that far. Oh, I said I started watching it. Not that I knew everything about it. I'm sorry, Tagjin. I guess YouTube is not that stupid. Sometimes YouTube is so smart that I just don't see it coming from them. I got whooshed. You win! I'm sorry. You mean you haven't finished several seasons in one evening? No. No. But I'm a miserable pile of panic. I did see a guy getting punched in the dick yesterday. And he didn't react. And I'm still kind of confused about that, though. Like, does that mean that vampires in Castlevania, they don't have dicks? Yeah, it was Alucard getting kicked in the nuts. And he basically said, it's not step so low, it's not a bar fight. And he just like, he didn't even flinch. So, what's the implication here, right? I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe they... Let's say, if you would be kicked down there as a guy, If you had balls, that would hurt. It's usually the balls that hurt. But let's say if the balls weren't there, if it would only be your pee-pee, would that still hurt? Yeah? Like without the pee-pee. No, without the balls. Not much? Sorry, okay. Okay, yeah. So it could be that vampires just don't have balls. They do have a pee-pee, they just don't have balls. That's why he didn't feel anything. Am I overthinking this scene? I feel like I'm overthinking a little bit. Because... No, because... I don't know. Is this realistic? Is it like a superpower of vampires in Castlevania? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, we watch. We watch. Let me just get everything ready so we watch. Oh! Oh my god!
Hi.
Scott, thank you so much. Hi! Thank you so much for your support to Blackjack and Hookers from a Bunny. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Hello, Scott. Thank you again. Thank you. Hold on. No, I don't think the reviews will be spoilery. No. Hold on. No more Eno? Sorry, I just was using Eno because I really like the background music. Sorry. So this review here is hold on. This review here is from Game Ranks and Before You Buy. Yeah. You guys ready? Yeah. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Wait. I don't know if how the audio will be for you guys. Let me. Oh god, I can't see my mouse. It's so bad. Ah, loud. Is it loud? Oh Jesus Christ. Let's try this.
And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show.
Is the audio good? Is it loud? A little low? Okay, we'll try again.
And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show.
Good? Or louder? A little low again? Hold on.
Before You Buy. That show we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. It's me, Jake, today, and we're talking about
Jake.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Now, this is the follow-up to the 2004 weird PC RPG classic. In this all-new adventure, you're in a...
What does he mean by weird? Also, the game does look really good.
Different setting. The city of Seattle, and you are an elder vampire who wakes up with no memory of why they are there. And also, interestingly enough, you have the voice of another vampire in your head. It's up to you to figure out what the deal is with that, while also navigating the vampire underworld of Seattle, learning the ins and outs, the power struggles, and the drama. So, up front, this game has been in the works for many years.
Did you guys...
And ultimately ended up with a different...
Do you guys think that this NPC is named Silky because his balls are silky? Never mind.
Different development team and a different approach. Now, unlike its predecessor, and they've been pretty upfront about this, it's not really a full-on detailed RPG. It's more of a light action RPG. That's gonna immediately be disappointing to some players, so I just wanted to have that up front. It is not a direct continuation of that type of RPG. It takes the lore and ideas and does something a bit simpler, a bit different. So I went in with my expectations kind of low, but also just eager for another vampire game because in general, they just don't make enough of those.
It's true. Okay, from what I could see, from what he showed of this footage of him walking around, the game kind of like, at least like the vibes of the game seem pretty much like the original one. Like the way that the inside of the buildings look. Yeah? Rogish, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to comment on UI of a game because I find that UI is something that it's irrelevant unless there was a problem with it. And I would only know if there was a problem with it if I was trying to play the game.
Werewolves too, but today, just for the sake of this, yeah, vampires. They're awesome. So, long story short, unfortunately, Bloodlines 2 is a deeply flawed game that makes a lot of bad decisions. It can be...
Is it bad that I find this should be so relatable? Like, I'm a deeply flawed person that makes a lot of bad decisions.
Frustrating, kind of hollow, and messy. All that, and yet I still kind of enjoyed playing it personally. It's a game that I just can't recommend to most gamers for various reasons, other than the most patient gamers that can put up with a middling game that still just manages to feel a little
Patience is my middle name.
But it's a tough one, man. For every cool thing this game has, it also ends up having a massive flaw. Where Bloodlines 2 falls flat in mission design and character progression and role-playing elements, it also has an interesting story, some good dialogue, some good vampire gameplay moments, and just cool atmosphere. This might be unpopular, I might be completely off base here, but I suspect I still enjoyed this game more than the majority of reviewers out there. And just so you know, before we keep going, we've been playing a review copy, and all this footage you see here is captured running on PC and is completely spoiler free. I don't show or spoil a lot of the cooler like vampire abilities or later game moments because that's stuff you should just discover for yourself.
Thank you, Jake.
Look, just with the setup at the start, you choose a male or female vampire, and after a brief tutorial intro sequence, you're set loose on a small open world Seattle map. It's a snowstorm, it's Christmas time, and the vampires of the city are actually experiencing a fresh change in leadership at the top with the new vampire prince. This is a dialogue-heavy game, with one of the main characters being a voice in your head. Like, so a lot of conversations kind of go down like long, extended codec conversations.
Hold on. So far, the things that he has said, they're pretty like up my alley. Like, for example, I like dialogue games. I have a tendency to like games that have a voice in my head. Like, I can think of a few. Can you guys think of a few games that I've liked that there is a voice in my head? Cyberpunk? Baldur's Gate? Cause it's related. No! Yeah. Disco Elysium is fun. Yeah. There's lots of good games with a voice in your head. But by the way that the game looks, the game basically looks like a much, visually speaking, when I look at this game, I think of the previous Bloodline, which is good.
Stations from Metal Gear Solid, but for me, that absolutely
like the
works.
alleys, the way
Chalk that up with some interesting NPCs around.
Look, even the way that the doors are. That's kind of like the way that the doors were in the first game, right? So visually speaking, I find that this game should be very like the first game.
Town that often just look or sound interesting, and it makes for a really good, like, I don't know, like unfurling of the tapestry that is this detailed pre-existing universe. Even if you don't know anything about the World of Darkness lore that this all exists in, the game is excited to educate you, and I think it does a real nice job at doing so. While some voice acting is a little annoying or falls flat, there are some good characters here that just feel like just campy enough just like trashy enough to fit in with this whole neon drenched snow.
It looks really good.
It's got a bit of a lower budget indie feel to it, but
what? Is he looking at the same game that I'm looking at? Wait, visually speaking, he can't be talking about the visuals, right? Because the game looks amazing. Because I don't see like any indie game looking like this. Feel? He said feel. In what way? Okay, calm.
It's engaging enough stuff. Now, you choose your vampire clan, which gives you some different abilities. You can lean a little bit more towards combat or stealth, but the game pulls the Deus Ex human revolution thing here and often forces you into combat either way. Now, combat itself is weird. It's first-person melee combat.
Deus Ex. Weren't we playing that recently? Malkavir, thanks so much for the prime. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I have XD. No, I don't think... I honestly don't know. I feel like maybe he was talking about the fluidity of combat when he said about like an indie game feel. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Combat that is very punchy. Like it's got some impact to it. You can punch a mortal and watch them fly across the room. You can dodge at supernatural speeds. Melee hits are grouped into heavy and light attacks, and along with that, dodging into attacks kind of serves as a light parry, and dodging in a direction and hitting the button activates certain moves. Like backwards will kind of give you a nice kick to knock back enemies, kick them off rooftops and stuff. It actually took me quite a while to grasp this directional thing, and you don't see a lot of it here in the footage, but it works well enough. There is telekinesis too, where you can pull objects from the environment and then throw them. Like
yeah,
if
it
you're
looks really
around,
good.
You can pick up a bottle to throw to distract guys, or maybe toss an enemy's weapon back at them mid-combat. You can also pick up explosive canisters or enemies' guns and fire them back at them.
Can you put your finger up
it's pretty
their
cool
butt?
in practice.
Sorry.
You could finish off enemies, or you can suck their blood for more health and other things. Holding a trigger gives you access to pressing face buttons for special vampire abilities, like slowing down time, a big ground pound, a taunt that makes enemies vulnerable,
Vampires do
super
suck.
punches, a kind of dishonored blink maneuver, blood attacks, and a bunch more. Now, this combat is alright. It has moments where you feel really powerful and pull off some cool stuff, but it's flawed. It desperately needs a lock-on of some sort.
Oh, there's no lock-on.
Because sometimes you feel like you're just flailing. And also, sometimes pushing enemies back just kind of feels broken because they'll float up or hover over a parked car or get stuck in a corner.
You know what's funny? The way that he describes the combat and the way that I remember playing Bloodlines, it just feels like the original Bloodline combat that they tried to make an adaptation to this one. Because I feel like that's exactly how it feels, right? Oh my god, Symphony Kitty, thank you so much for the 100 months of support to Blackjack and Hookers for Boo, even before Boo was around. Oh my gosh. Thank you, that's so kind of you, thank you. You guys, I will be honest with you guys. Saying that reviewers have been bought or reviewers have, I don't know, skill issues, those people play a lot more video games than the average person. So if somebody says that something is difficult, odds are they're true. Unless if you're one of the few people who play games more than the common people, you need to also realize that when I find something difficult, that means for a person who plays a lot less video games than me, that's going to be a lot difficult. So there is a scale. The more that you do something, the better you are at it by default. Does it make sense? What do you guys think of what you guys saw of the game so far? Chupacabra, thank you so much for the 58 months. Thank you. Random, thank you. And also can we also not have like cheap compliments? Just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean that they were bought. Like, it's okay for people to disagree and have different opinions. It's okay for people to, to like something that you don't like. Like, for example, a lot of people like League of Legends. I just don't play it, you know? I don't go shitting under a yum. Yeah, okay, anyways, we go.
It can be janky in general, for lack of a better word. I know it's overused, but it works here. And also, it can be pretty challenging, sometimes fairly, and sometimes BS, because you just get like spammed by 4 enemies at once. But again, when you're in a good flow and you flawlessly execute a couple of people, it can really sell the vampire dream, you know, lopping off some...
Wait.
Once. But
you see this? This really gives me vibes of the first game. You know? It's just like I feel like I've been in a similar place in the first game.
When you're in a good flow and you flawlessly execute a couple of people, it can really sell the vampire dream, you know, lopping off some heads.
Yeah, visually speaking, yeah.
Using your abilities to trick enemies to fighting one another, using telekinesis to pick up a knife and throw it at another dude, then sucking the last enemy standing. Like, it can be pretty cool, especially thanks to it just feeling flashy, you know? Cool over-the-top finishing animations, camera perspective changes, blood and gore, and some decent feedback to the hits. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done, and it's definitely, it's definitely got a lot more going on than the original games in terms of just how it looks and how it feels. Now, exploring the city and engaging with NPCs and enemies involves upholding the Masquerade, or the hidden nature of vampire abilities. You can sprint and run around, but sucking people or climbing or vampire speedrunning or other things increases a masquerade meter at the top of the screen. So if you push it too far, the vampires will kill you to preserve their secret. It's a little undercooked, but it works well enough as a trade-off for exploring the city. Like, there's give and take. You do a lot of running around. You're wandering around these streets, just going from mission to mission, but when you know nobody is looking, you can run super fast, dash up a fire escape, and then run and jump and glide across rooftops. So it encourages you to, duck into back alleys, look for pipes or scaffolding to climb, and small streets to dash through.
Actually, that's a really cool feature. Did I understand that right? Did he say that if we actually do some inhuman vampire things like running too fast, we get caught? Like in the first game, it didn't happen, right? Like basically in the first game, you would only get caught for breaking the masquerade if you literally suck the blood of somebody in front of somebody else, right? So that's actually really sick that there is an NPC feedback. That's really cool. I don't know if I was even like expecting that.
When nobody is around. It makes you engage with the environment differently than you would in a normal game. And again, while it's not the craziest thing, it is really fun and a good feeling when you finally get up to the rooftops, away from public eyes, and then you can kind of just Superman run and jump and glide your way across this spooky city. Now,
I didn't have
there's a good amount
accelerator.
of these abilities on a simple skill tree. But believe it or not, it's flexible and not just completely stuck to the clan type you choose at the start. You can unlock active clan abilities outside of your clan from your clan trainer NPCs by spending resources you get from sucking the blood of random NPCs that are just roaming the streets. So you can use your vampire vision to see their hearts and tell what type of person they are, meaning they have different blood resources. You can use certain abilities or just convince people to come to a dark alleyway to make out with you, or coerce them into a fight, or trick them, whatever it takes to get the blood. It can be a clunky little NPC system. It kind of feels old and dated with bad AI, but it's also a little charming and old school. Unfortunately, pacing-wise, you get a lot of your abilities early on, leading to the second half feeling like less of a pursuit, I guess the game wants to empower you right at the jump, but it feels like it was balanced a bit off. Pacing, in general, is kind of a downer. The game starts pretty strong, and then it feels kind of a bit samey, with not enough enemy types, and unfortunately some really, really repetitive side quests. Now,
I would say that the first Bloodlines suffered of something similar? What do you guys say? Because, It 100% does. When he talks about enemies and repetitive enemies, the first Bloodlines were the same thing. No. I'm not talking about the side quest. I'm talking about repetitiveness of combat and enemies. The first Bloodline suffered from the same thing. Because there is only so many humans you can fight. Gangs of humans. And stuff like that. Or like, there is some different types of vampires. No, I know. But I'm just trying to compare the two games. I don't know about the side quests though. We did some amazing side quests in the first game. Tranquility. I love your name. Yeah, the first game, however, the first studio that made the first game, Vampire Bloodlines 1, was actually not very good at launch. The game was almost unplayable for a lot of people. And Vampire Bloodlines actually became a hit and a classic years after its release, and modders fixed the game. So at release, Vampire Bloodlines original was quite flawed.
When you go to sleep after a few main missions, the next day kicks in, and there's typically new side quests with the old ones erased. But they're all variations on a few small things, like, bring this here, go and suck this guy, or kill these people. The NPCs that you revisit over and over again to get these side quests are cool. But the missions themselves, after like 2 rounds of them, you'll feel like you've seen enough. And by then, you've probably unlocked plenty of cool abilities and, might not feel the need to grind. That was me, at least. And pacing-wise, the game is broken up by flashback sequences that are, unfortunately, kind of dull. And I do feel like it's, unfortunately, like a missed opportunity.
Hold on. He talked about side quests. But those seem more like... in some games, you have, like, some daily chores that you can do? Do you think that those are the only types of side quests in the game? Because it sounds more like something like that. No. Because yeah, so it does seem. I actually wonder, does the game actually have actual side quests? Because by the way that he describes, it seems like, I don't know what's an RPG that I can compare to something more like daily quests. I wouldn't say those are side quests, but the question is, I wonder if the game has actual side quests or just the main quest and the daily quests. Does that make sense? Let's see if he clarifies. Main quest, side quest, repetitive quest, fetch quest. They call it side quests? Oh, I see. Well, if the game doesn't have anything out of what I would say those daily quests, that's kind of lame. But, really? Oh.
Here, because technically these are time changes, so the flashback sequences are in the past, but the game doesn't really take advantage of that at all, especially outside. Like, you just kind of feel like you're doing the same thing. So it's like a change up, but it still manages to be dull and the same. All of these sequences still manage to feel just like the same old business, where it could have really wowed. Now, dialogue and decision making is very light. While the game does have multiple endings, most of the conversations and dialogue options feel more like, that whole illusion of choice. Your clan or your background you choose just seems to add a little flavor text, and not much else save for a few brief moments here and there. Along with that, many times I had dialogue options that, all just kind of led to the same result, and that can just feel unfulfilling. Like, don't string me along contemplating my choices and picking through all these things when it doesn't really do anything, man. Now, at the very least, I did enjoy talking to the NPCs, like with what I said up top, learning about this world, learning the ins and outs of the vampire clans and the story and the power brokers in this fictional Seattle. Still, even if my decisions didn't give that much agency, I still liked experiencing the story. Now, the only other issue is bugs. Like I mentioned earlier.
Okay, calm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to talk or think about that. Like, man, I just don't know. Because, yeah, that's pretty bad, but at the same time, I don't know how much they played the game. Like for example, certain things that happens when it comes to choice and consequence, like in Baldur's Gate, took me like different numbers of playthroughs to find out. So depending, like, did they play the game like with different clans to say this? I don't know. So it could be that it feels like, but is it really like that? I just don't know. But I guess that's a good point for us to watch multiple reviews. So I don't know. Again, this could just be hopium talking, you know, because yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if it's like this, kind of like really tough, right? Like the side quest stuff is really sad. This is really sad as well.
Some enemy AI is really bad, and some characters would get stuck or float in some instances. From a technical standpoint, I had some very slight stutter on PC, despite having a pretty high-end machine. It seems like that notorious Unreal Engine 5 stutter that some games have. I noticed it most wandering around the open world, and that is disappointing and annoying. Now, otherwise, it is a decent looking game. Graphically fine, yes, but like in terms of art direction, atmospheric effects, and lighting, it really shined and helped with that snowy noir atmosphere. You know, I love the way the characters look. Some interiors I really wanted to actually like hang out in.
God, this
and the
woman
city
is
streets
gorgeous.
have a good kind of cold, lonely feel to them. Almost reminding me of games like The Darkness or Max Payne. So you could see why like I'm defending some aspects of this game, because it just does a lot of little things that appealed to me. So yeah, look, Bloodlines 2 is massively undercooked. I think the combat and the traversal are decent, sometimes entertaining and empowering, but with some small issues. I liked engaging with the storytelling, even if the RPG decisions felt like not much. I love the vampire feel of it all, the exploration, even if the pacing and the character abilities felt kind of off. I enjoyed main missions and was bored of side missions. So yeah, that's my point here. For every good, there is a bad. I think for most players, the bad might massively outweigh the good. But personally, I just like the good elements enough that I'm still glad I played it. Even if it's not the Bloodlines follow-up I imagined, it still feels like it's different than a lot of other games on the market. But still, with all the negatives, I can't recommend it to anyone right now. Maybe on sale, and I think that's only if like you're a big freak for vampires, you really are curious about this universe, and maybe you have a tolerance for weird, flawed, sometimes frustrating games. Maybe you're like me. Either way, this is a before you buy, so you know how it goes. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion. So now I want to hear yours down in the comments. Let me know what your perspective is with this game. There was that whole pre-order debacle with some of the DLC, like some of the clans actually being locked behind DLC. Like that was a bad decision. I'm glad they reverted that. But that, and then of course, like the Chinese room developing it, and it was previously Hardsuit Labs. Like, let me know how you feel about the original reveal versus the new reveal. If you're going into this like me with low expectations, let's talk anything Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 down in the comments. If you liked this video and you found it informative, clicking the like button helps us out. We really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing, maybe hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Well, oh. I don't know. I think you should watch more reviews. Do you guys want to watch another review to see? Guys, hold on. I need to. You know when you just feel like laying on the floor a little bit? Okay. Come. Yeah, I understand. I understand. It's just I will definitely still go into the game with the same mind that I did before. I feel like I did a good job with that. Like with a lot of games that we watched reviews and then played on stream, like Dragon Age and Stalker and so on. I also feel like we should probably watch more reviews, and I did ask. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, so just one thing. While I was at Gamescom, I got to talk a little bit with some of the devs of Bloodline, and I asked them about the replayability of the game, and they basically told me that the game would be like replayable based on the different vampire clans that you can get, you know? So for example, if you play as the same vampire clan, you probably wouldn't have like too much to find new in that playthrough if you play the same vampire clan. But playing a different vampire clan, that could be more, you know? Again, it's hard for me to judge without trying or without actually seeing or actually like when we are playing. If some of you guys are playing with a different clan, you point out differences. Does it make sense? Honestly, I find that it's interesting. Like for example, if this video had no audio and I was just looking at the game, everything that I saw was amazing. So I I don't know. Like, so, except the combat, I don't know. Because I'll be honest with you, I feel like, does mice seem kind of crazy? But, you know what? Before I get to any conclusions, let's just watch another one. How about that? Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let's watch more. Let's see different opinions and different perspectives and see what we see. And again, he did say that he did like the game. It's just hard for him to recommend to people. And then they talked about like and then they talked about like the good and the bad. He basically said it's a flawed game, and he was very like straightforward. Hold on, let me just hold on. So the next one that we're gonna watch is from GameSpot. GameSpot review. You guys ready? Do you have your popcorn? Roku, thank you so much for the 23 months of support. To Blackjack and Hookers from a bunny. And Vinny Show, thank you so much for the 15 months. Thank you so much. Never despair. I needed to read that. Never despair. Thank you so much for the 10 months of support to Blackjack and Hookers from a bunny. And Chupacabra Cadabra. Dude, what a lovely name. Thank you so much for the 58 months. Banafus. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. No, listen, come. Again, I have a few things to say. Okay? I have a few things to say. And there's something, right? Like, I literally just played the previous game. Right? So let's just watch some more reviews and then we talk more about it. Deal? 3, 2, 1.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines has always held an extremely special place in both my heart and personal gaming history. Alongside 2002's Neverwinter Nights, it's basically what turned me into such a die-hard fan of both TTRPGs and CRPGs in equal measure. So needless to say, you can count me among the thousands of us who have been waiting impatiently and a bit nervously for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Fortunately, I think the wait was mostly worth it.
Okay. She suck. Like, vampire suck.
Though I wouldn't call Bloodlines 2 a great game per se, I had a really great time playing it. For better or worse, it retains a lot of Bloodlines DNA. Though not as nitty-gritty or RPG-heavy as its predecessor, it still largely feels the same to play. However, it also carries with it some jank and technical issues that really do make it feel like an early aughts title. And while some of these issues were humorous or even slightly endearing, I was less than thrilled about the numerous game crashes and a game-breaking glitch I stumbled upon. Yet when I could seamlessly play, I truly enjoyed the overall experience.
Yeah. Damn!
Bloodlines 2 does not operate at the same level of sheer abundance and choice as a lot of modern-day RPGs. However, it's streamlined.
Wait, what? What does she mean by that? What? Because one RPG that has a lot of choices, and I can only think of one. Like Baldur's Gate. Where are the others? Where are the others? Did I miss something? Oh God. Where are the others? because there is just no, you guys, but like recent. Wait, calm. How recent? Some of you guys are mentioning games for 20 years ago, okay? That's not recent. I know we haven't defined what's the time frame for recent, but 20 years ago is not it. Okay, let's just clarify. Let's just set this one thing down. 20 years is not recent. Calm. Teddy, thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Raku. Let's hear what you say, because I could have a...
Bloodlines 2 does not operate at the same level of sheer abundance and choice as a lot of modern-day RPGs.
I can think of Baldur's Gate that has sheer abundance and choice. Like, modern-day RPGs. Don't say Fallout New Vegas. That doesn't count. When I think of recently, I can think of Baldur's Gate. And even Baldur's Gate, guys, has been like 3 years since Baldur's Gate, dude. And that's talking about recently. Recently. All the other games you guys are mentioning are before Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate already is 3 years. So, what is recent? You think that there's a lot of choices in Oblivion?
However, its streamlined approach isn't necessarily a bad thing, considering just how wonderful the game's narrative and characters are. I never got over the thrill of stealthily eliminating an entire room of baddies with my elder vampire powers, or just how paralyzing it can be to make a dialogue choice that will ultimately seal which of the game's endings you're locked into. Though Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 might not offer a deep RPG experience, it's certainly a bloody fun time. Bloodlines 2 makes the inspired decision to have you play as an elder vampire, one roughly 150 years older than the United States. The game's events kick off shortly after you awaken from a century-long torpor, think of that as a vampire hibernation of sorts, with an all-consuming urge to feed and a mysterious disembodied voice in your head. That mysterious disembodied voice belongs to Fabian,
No! Do we want to know? Is this spoiler? Panak. It's just a name, you guys. A name doesn't What do we do? We just heard a name. I pressed the pause at the right button at the right time. It isn't a spoiler. You'll find that out in 2 minutes in. Calm. Calm.
Vampire detective who was turned in the 1920s and also has no idea why you two appear to be sharing a body and consciousness. This kicks off the first of the game's many
Guys, I was just making sure.
See you play through 3 different timelines as you try to piece together what's happening to you, Fabian, the rapidly dying Camarilla, or Vampire Court, and the city of Seattle.
Doesn't this look like that bitch's place? In that hotel? You know that vampire bitch face? Like, yeah, the Camarilla vampire bitch face. What was his name? The blonde dude? Yeah, he looks like his office. He had like the big guy. I forgot, like Crocs. Yes, that bitch. He looks like his office. The Camarilla vampire bitch. Well, it's a good description. That's why everyone is saying his name. I described him right.
The ensuing adventure is one full of political intrigue and twists that, while not entirely unexpected, still deliver and delight. Though it's certainly not the first game to explore the freedom versus security dichotomy, or how so many are willing to endure broken systems when resisting them is seen as uncomfortable or inconvenient, it does so with adequate skill and plenty of flourish. A large part of what makes Bloodlines 2 truly shine, however, is its characters. Considering Fabian is both the person you are around the most and is essentially a 1920s detective archetype, it would be all too easy for him to be insufferable. But even with those qualities and the fact that he serves as the game's comic relief, he's actually really well written and, dare I say it, endearing.
Computers. Mostly, they're like a very fast telegraph system staffed by idiots. My advice is to leave well alone.
That reminds me of something. They remind... Yeah. Yeah. That's very Malk. Isn't it? Isn't this very Malk? Malkavian? Sequestion, thank you so much for the 29 months. Thank you. Nice spooky. Is this my closet? I wish.
All of Bloodlines 2's characters are caricatures of a sort, but evolved and far more well-rounded. Lou Graham, the former vampire...
Guys, it's just a speculation. It could not be.
Prince of Seattle, for example, is an aristocratic narcissist, but there's still a part of her that feels really human, understandable, and pitiable even. The Camarilla's current prince, Ryomi, tries her hardest to maintain a tough-as-nails facade, yet is obviously struggling with her rise to power and how to bridge her idealism with her pragmatism. And despite there being so many other characters well worth mentioning, I'd be remiss not to bring up Tolly. As a Nosferatu, Tolly no longer possesses conventional good looks.
What? That's the best looking... I'm gonna say the name wrong again because I was... Nosferatu? No, I always fuck up their names, okay? You can... Honestly, this is one of the best looking ones, right? He's honestly kind of cute. Yes, I always fuck up their names. Nosferatu. I had it.
Having lost that part of his humanity in his transformation. This is touched upon in a really interesting way.
Nosferatu.
As it's revealed that while he used to be more concerned with his appearance, living through the 80s as a gay man has simply left him happy to still be here. I was consistently impressed by stories like these and the amount of thoughtfulness and compassion that went into constructing these characters. I finished the game eager to play it again and learn even more about them. Also, because I know you're thinking it, yes, you can romance these characters, though it is admittedly a pretty shallow feature.
No! When she mentions a shallow feature, is she talking about like how deep the penetration goes, or anyways?
Despite absolutely loathing Fire's name, I actually really loved them as a character as well. Even after 45 hours of playing, I never tired of hearing their cliched and vaguely Romanian accent, and the subtle but persistent way they just don't get certain parts of modern living. And that Fire is a pre-established and somewhat dark character with this storied past that people know about, for better or worse.
You're the nomad.
Huh? Guess word gets around.
There's so much more than an everyman with a chip on their shoulder and the desire to kiss and or kill everyone, and it makes for a far more interesting experience overall. That said, I think one downside to the emphasis on Fire's backstory is that it draws even more attention to how disappointingly little Fire's clan affiliation matters. Outside very slightly altering the ways that some characters talk to you and determining which abilities you start out with, I found that the clan I chose had no real impact on gameplay.
That kind of breaks my heart. That's sad because I find that it was one of the coolest things, right, about the original one, how like different the gameplay could be. But at the same time, I would say that the two clans that would have the greatest gameplay change in the first game was Malkavian and Nosferatu. And those two are not in the game. Right? So...
Clan-specific abilities and outfits can be unlocked later down the road simply by talking to other characters, regardless of what you choose at the beginning. But I'll admit it, the fact that you can attain all combat abilities was a great decision. Whereas the game's basic melee-focused combat is relegated to simply hitting R1 to attack and L1 to dodge, the game's abilities completely transform what would otherwise be an extremely dull affair. Regardless of class, Fire is given telekinetic abilities, which can be used in battle to push and pull enemies or fetch and use weapons. But beyond that, each vampire is also allowed to utilize 4 greater powers as well. Some of these are pretty macabre, such as the one that commands an enemy to, I'll phrase this delicately, take care of themselves, and another that makes their blood literally boil. Others, like possess and mass manipulation.
I have mixed feelings about this. I don't know how to deal with this, guys. I part of me really liked that the vampire clans had unique abilities in the first game. Like, for example, somebody was talking about clarity, and I had no idea about clarity in the first game, or that I could do it, because even though I played the first game, I didn't play as the vampires who have clarity. So I didn't know that. So I'm a little bit torn, because at the same time it's cool because you get more cool vampiric abilities, and that's always nice. But at the same time, I feel like it makes each clan a little bit less special. So I honestly don't know what to think about it. I'm just kind of like on the fence. I just don't know. I feel like it ultimately depends on the game. I feel like I would need to try the game to know where I stand and how I feel about this being a thing. But as of right now, I'm really conflicted.
And are simply devious. When strung together, these skills make for gameplay that is extremely fun, regardless of if you're approaching things more head-on or more stealthily. Of course, these powerful abilities require that you are regularly consuming blood, be it from enemies while fighting, pedestrians, or blood packs. But by the time I reached the game's final chapters, I was blown away by how easily and gracefully I could take down an entire building full of enemies. I truly cannot understate how great it felt, time after time. Traversal is another important part of Bloodline 2's core gameplay loop, and it too feels very similarly fast-paced and fluid. Early on, Fabian remarks that he'll never get tired overseeing a flying vampire after seeing the way in which Fire's Elder status allows her to glide over the city. And honestly, same. It's a rush getting in that groove and seamlessly bounding and gliding between buildings. Though I will admit that the game's own clunkiness can make these mad dashes a bit unwieldy at times. All that.
Do the people in the city never look up? Like, right? Like, are the citizens of Seattle stupid? Like, how comes nobody ever thinks about looking up and seeing a flying vampire?
That said, it becomes unfortunate that Bloodline 2's overall structure doesn't do much
this is not about me.
The joy of roaming about the city, or incentivize players to do so. While there are collectibles scattered about Seattle and rudimentary side quests, by and large it is an incredibly linear game that tasks you with running back and forth between the same handful of locations.
Be careful with this one. A delicate package to Westlake Memorial Hall.
Side quests are largely inconsequential, and thus getting to know these city blocks feels pretty inconsequential as well. It's somewhat of a shame that exploration and curiosity isn't fostered purely because of how detailed and lovely this small piece of city is. I adored wandering around Pioneer Square as a grungy sounding motif slowly built up around me, moonlight and street lamps refracting on the freshly
Is it bad that the first thing that comes in my mind is if mods can fix this? Or is this relatable?
fallen snow, and I was delighted
I
by
don't
how
know.
certain places are very clearly inspired by real-world Seattle locations, with the most notable of these being the entrance to the city's infamous underground. Less polished, however, is Bloodlines 2 as a whole, and that is perhaps its biggest downfall. While playing on my PS5, I experienced around 7 or so crashes. My colleague playing on PC reported at least 2. At one point, I was rendered unable to play the game for days because I had been inexplicably locked out of a room I needed to get into to turn in a quest. I tried countless things before eventually loading up a much earlier save and replaying an hour or two of the game to get back to the same spot. Thankfully, that did the trick. Enemies often defied physics, fire frequently clipped through walls, and NPCs behaved in some truly asinine ways at times. Whenever I accidentally broke the Masquerade, meaning I did something decidedly vampiric in front of a human audience, thus threatening to reveal our kind, it was treated with less urgency than you'd think it'd necessitate. I'd simply skulk away somewhere, wait for a bit, and then resume what I was doing. Sometimes all of this made the game incredibly funny and added some charm. Other times, not so much. This more or less reflects Bloodlines 2 as a whole. Sometimes charming, Other times, not so much. There's a lot there that is great. I love the narrative, the characters, the drama, and the sheer power fantasy of it all.
That's good, right?
At the same time, it's one of the more unpolished games I've ever reviewed, and definitely lacks the same level of ambition, scope, choice, and general tightness of other RPGs. Oftentimes, I found myself thinking it's a great game in spite of itself, which ultimately only makes it a pretty good game.
Should we watch more? Because the more reviews that we watch, the more that I'm getting a certain feeling. But we'll see. I don't think it's depressing. I'm getting like, it's not depression. I'm getting a certain feeling of a time loop. Anyone else getting this? Or is it just me? Oh, nice! Arts Immersion. I'm glad you had a great time. And thank you so much for your donation. Thank you. You don't know what that means? I feel like this is a game that there's a chance that it might age well. Do you understand what I mean? I don't know, but like, again, I haven't played the game. I don't know anything, but the more that I hear, I don't know. You mean like the first? Yes. I mean like the first. No, I mean like the first Bloodlines. I don't know. I don't know. The first game had a great core too, though. Well, this game seems to have a very similar core to the first game, though. There's a lot of places that I look that feel like places from the first game. Like, visually speaking, this game looks like the first game, but a trillion times better. Not the story and choices. Yeah, but I find it really hard for me to comment on the story and choices of a game without playing it. Because it's not that I don't mean this in a way to doubt what people are saying, but more in a way that I just don't know how to judge a game's story without actually playing it. Does that make sense? I just can't. It's the kind of thing that it's subjective. I don't know. I just don't know. Because I feel like this review had a very similar vibe of the first one, that it seemed like the reviewers liked the game a lot, but at the same time, they felt like it was a hard game to recommend. But they seem to have liked the game a lot. Does that make sense? Like, the first reviewer even say that it's a unique game. It's different than... And honestly, that gives me kind of like hope. Because, to me, the thing that was most eye-catching about Bloodlines 1 is that it was a different game. It was unique. You know, I never had a game like Bloodlines 1. I can't really like compare it. So I don't know how that was maintained, and I don't know how that will make me feel about things. I'm just torn. I find that the more that I watch those reviews, the more confused I am. Yes, but at the same time, there's different endings. Like, can we think for a second? Was the first game much different than what they're saying? Like, for example, when we did that quest with the hot ladies, remember? What was the name of the hot ladies? The one that was the serious girl and the Harlequin one? What's her name? Velvet? Jeanette. Yeah, Jeanette and Teresa. That was a good side quest, right? And that was a great side quest that I fucked up a lot because one ended up, you know, killing the other. But ultimately, did it have any consequences to the overall story of the game? No. Right? It was still a great quest. But yes, but that was inconsequential to the... Yeah, but oh, it's a main quest. So sure. But it had like no consequences in the grand scheme of things. What happened to the girls? Had it? No. It was still a great quest, and different things could happen, and it didn't have consequences. It could be that this game is the same in this way. Does that make sense? That there are different things, it's just that those different things, they don't culminate necessarily to a different ending. Does that make sense? Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Frank. I'm what I'm saying is, the more that I hear about this game, the more that it seems like it was, in a lot of ways, like the first one. Because the first game, it did give you choices, but a lot of these choices, it didn't culminate to the change of the ending until like you were actually in the ending of the game. So does that make the first game bad? No. It's still cool that we can have different, very different parts for certain ends of the quest. The way I understood is that, I don't know, Zanari, because the first review did mention something like that, but it did also mention that sometimes it did have consequences. It did compare this game also being with like Deus Ex, the game that we're talking about. No, Geogriver, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. It's not that the ending is linear. The entire thing is that the game does have different endings, and it could be that the quests leading to the end of the game also have different choices, okay? Because that's how the first game was. So the first game, as you progress through the game, the main quest that you did, you had different consequences for the quests. But ultimately, the quests that you did in the beginning of the game didn't change the end of the game. So it's not like, for example, Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate, depending on what you do in Act 1, some things in Act 3 will be different. In Bloodlines 1, the things that we did in the quest with Janet did not affect the quest that we did in Downtown, for example. Does that make sense? So it's more like the choices, they feel more in the present rather than thinking ahead. Dubis, literally this entire review was saying how the game does have a lot of character. So I feel like ultimately when they talk about the choices in this game, what I don't know what they're doing is if they're comparing this game with Baldur's Gate or if they're comparing this game with the first game. Because the first game, it did give you choices, but those choices did not have lots of consequences down the road. Baldur's Gate, it gives you choices, and some of these choices, a lot of these have consequences. The first game didn't have that. So if you're comparing this game, Bloodlines with Baldur's Gate, that's not how the first game was. That's how Baldur's Gate was. So that's why in the beginning of this review, when I asked you guys, what does it mean that a lot of recent RPGs have a lot of that? Because the only one I can think about is Baldur's Gate. Like in recent, not more like than 5 years ago. So, I don't know. Am I saying anything that's not clear? Or that's nonsensical? Expedition 33, do you think Expedition 33 had a lot of choices? No. No. So that's why in the beginning of the game, I like, Kingdom Come. Did the Kingdom Come have a lot of choices? Not really. Kingdom Come, yes, Kingdom Come has choices, but it was more like in a physical way. You can't, because that's my entire point. When they said in the beginning of the video that a lot of recent RPGs had very in-depth choices, the only game that I can actually think that has that is Baldur's Gate. Does that make sense? Because Kingdom Come had some choices, but it was not like Baldur's Gate. I can compare it with less cinematic games. Yes, I'm not talking about the combat, do bites. But Baldur's Gate had the greatest amount of choices in recent RPG memory. That's just a fact. Yes, I do understand that, Mint. I do understand that as well. But again, since it's not clarified in what this person says in the beginning of the game when it comes to choices in RPGs, because besides Baldur's Gate, hold on. Besides Baldur's Gate, okay? Besides Baldur's Gate, what other big, well-known RPG came out with many choices? Yes, but you... Guys... In recent... Do you guys understand that Cyberpunk is... Guys, Cyberpunk is 5 years old. And one of the biggest critics of Cyberpunk is that it didn't have enough RPG elements. And I'm talking about big name RPGs. I hear you guys about Rogue Trader. And even then, I don't think Rogue Trader is that recent as you guys are thinking. I think Rogue Trader is older than you guys believe. But at the same time, a lot of you are bringing CRPGs into this. Do you think that the choices in Bloodlines 1 was the equivalent of a CRPG choice? So why are you bringing CRPGs into this? And I just meant recent RPGs. So, why are you bringing CRPGs into this? Do you think it's fair to expect that the Bloodlines shoe suddenly becomes a CRPG? Is this a fair expectation? No, I'm not nitpicking. Because it's relevant. Because Bloodlines 1 was not a CRPG. No! Are you crazy? Bloodlines 1 is not a CRPG. Guys, I just played the game! Guys, I literally just played Bloodlines 1. It was not a CRPG, guys. Just because you play a game on the computer doesn't mean it's a computer roleplay game. Listen. Remember in the review when I told you guys that I was torn about certain things? Like, for example, I say that when it says that the vampire clans, they are more... There's less difference between the vampire clans. And to me, that would be the most depth of RPG that the first game had. Wasteland is a CRPG, no question to that. But do you think Bloodlines 1 is a CRPG? That's different. Because, again, I feel like I need to explain. I feel like, again, we've recently played your entire Bloodlines 1 together. So I don't know how you guys are missing what I'm saying, okay? Hold on. Okay. Dr. Depression Popsy, thanks so much for the 9 months. Sick Fish, thank you so much for the 29 months. Okay. Let's think of the beginning of Vampires Bloodlines 1, okay? There was... What was the name of the two girls? Jeanette? And Teresa. I'll have you know that I didn't have sex with either of them because I fucked up my choices. And one ended up killing the other because I fucked up my choices. But did this happening, did it have any consequences on the second act when we started talking with the bitch-ass vampire face, the La Croix? Did any of the choices that we had with Teresa and Jeanette have any consequences with La Croix? Yes or no? No. Can you guys remind me of another quest that we did? Okay, the Chinatown. The Chinatown. What's the main story choice that we did in the Chinatown? That we had to make a choice. That's the stop sign is not. Chinatown was under... Chinatown had a lot of, like, great side quests. No. Turtba, I have a point to this. Okay? My point to this is that... My point to this is that Vampire Bloodlines 1, all the major quests that had choices that we can think of, they didn't have consequences outside of these quests. Can you guys give me one example that it happened? Because I can't think of one. So, what I'm saying is, the game does have choices within itself. So, like, for example, depending on your dialogue choices and things like that, you could have Teresa and Jeanette to survive. You could have sex with one of them. Maybe you could even have sex with both of them. But ultimately, those choices didn't culminate in a different ending. Okay? And when people are criticizing Bloodlines 2, they're saying that this is happening. Well, at least that's what I'm understanding this is happening. I find that the choices that you have, they are very, like, based on your quest. This is different than in Baldur's Gate. In Baldur's Gate, certain quests that you do, certain choices that you do, is gonna affect Act 3. Saving the hospital girl. Yes, saving the hospital girl, the quest can continue or not depending on what you do. But that's a side quest. This is a side quest. Does it make sense? So, the thing is, I'll be honest with you guys. I am not expecting Baldur's Gate out of Bloodlines 2, because I feel like if I would be expecting Baldur's Gate out of most games, I would just be disappointed. Does it make sense? What I'm expecting out of Bloodlines is hopefully something that brings my heart to Bloodlines 1. Lots of games don't affect them. Yes, but that's my point, Captain Mana. But that was my point. If anything, the more that I look at Bloodlines 2, the things that I can actually judge without playing, the more like it looks like something exciting. But at the same time, the more that I hear people talking about it, the more confused I get. So, ultimately, I don't fucking know. Do you understand? Because I hope... Well, the biggest thing is, I wanted to play as Malkavian in Bloodlines 2, and I can't. That's a little bit frustrating to me. It's a little bit frustrating to me that the vampire different clans, they're not very unique, because I found that's what gave Vampire Bloodlines 1 an edge when it comes to RPG depth. The different classes being different. You know? But even then, if we're being realistic about the gameplay consequences of each class, the most classes that did different gameplay, I feel like if we're being extremely fair, I would say when it comes to gameplay, Nosferatu is the only clan that had a different gameplay. Like, vastly. And Malkavian had a very different dialogue experience. World perception. AJMB! Listen! AJMB, you were here while I was playing Bloodlines 1, right? Am I hallucinating things? AJMB, what do you think about this? You pre-ordered this game in 2020. From the things that we saw, what do you think? From what I saw, the game does look like it has hot vampires. Piff, yes, I understand that the Nosferatu in Bloodlines 1 was also played by 5 people. But can I be honest with you guys? I am sick of that excuse. I'm not saying this because it applies to Bloodlines 2, and in fact, this does not apply to Bloodlines 2, okay? But I am sick of games putting choice, of games saying that choices are irrelevant in a game because only 5 people pick them. So what? Who cares? Most gamers don't even finish games. Does that mean that games shouldn't come with endings? I don't give a shit how many people pick a choice or not. I feel like there should be more choices in games because one of the things that keep games and communities of games alive in the long-term run is people discussing different things. It's kind of like life. If we both live the same life, if all of us live the same life, would we have anything to talk with? No. So when we are playing the same game and everything is exactly the same, all of us experience 100% of the fucking game, but then we don't have anything to discuss. We don't have anything to talk about. The game just dies. So when there's choices, no matter how small the amount of people that pick them, like for example in Baldur's Gate, there's a choice that apparently, according to some people, that you can redeem Nier in Baldur's Gate. I've never seen that. I've only seen Nier be a bitch fuck-ass face, okay? But that's intriguing. That makes me want to know more. That makes me want to play the game again. That makes me want to try the game again and dive in deep. I personally don't care if it took like years for people to find it out. In fact, I find that to be appealing. So saying that it's only few people pick the choice and that's an excuse for a choice not to be in a game, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's just fucking bullshit. I think more games should have choices. Again, I'm not saying that linear games are bad. I'm just saying that's a whole different experience. Thank you. I just want more choices. I don't care if 5 people see them. I find them cool and interesting and I want to talk about them. Maybe I want to experience them too after the 5 people experience that. What's the verdict? I don't know. Do you guys want to watch another review? Gosh. Sorry. Again, what I'm saying to respect to Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Can I be honest with you guys? I think we saw a good scope from what reviews had to say about the game. I think from now, from this point on, I actually just want to play the game and see if I can make an apt, if I can see how it actually correlates to Bloodlines 1. Because Bloodlines 1, we played it very recently. It's fresh in my memory. I am not being exigent. In fact, I don't think I'm exigent at all. I find that I need more games that have choices, and I love when games have them, and when games are not as shallow as a puddle, they can have a lot longer longevity. I played Baldur's Gate 3 for 2,000 fucking hours.
What is the closest thing to Mulk in Bloodlines 2 at this point?
Guys, I love The Witcher 3. I love Cyberpunk. There was simply not enough to do in The Witcher 3 and in Cyberpunk to play it for 2,000 hours. Does that mean that I dislike those games? No, I love them. I love them to death. Does it make sense? At the same time that I recognize that you can have a good RPG without having over 2,000 hours of replayability, I can recognize that the levels of choice that we have in The Witcher and Cyberpunk is very different than Baldur's Gate. And my entire point to this rant is that yes, I fucking wish there would be more games like Baldur's Gate that gives us all the fucking choices, and I can play that game for over 2,000 hours and still play. But at some point, there is just enough. I play The Witcher. We play The Witcher again once a year. I'm looking forward to, hopefully in Christmas, we have our Witcher special. But, you know, I couldn't have done the same challenge runs and the same things that we did in Baldur's Gate and The Witcher because there was just not room for it. Does that mean I love The Witcher less? No, I still love it. Just because I'm saying that one thing is an RPG, one thing is a certain type of choice, and one thing is what you should expect of Bloodlines, because Bloodlines 1 was not a CRPG. Even though some people were telling me it was. What made Bloodlines 1 different was the different clans. The different clans that gave you a different view of the world, and a different view of the interactions that you had. Also, a different view of combat, because you could only access some skills from those clans. In Bloodlines 2, I have mixed feelings about the fact that every clan has access to the same skills. I have mixed feelings, but ultimately, I don't know if that's a bad or it's a good or a bad decision for the game, because I haven't played the game. That I cannot decide. That I can only tell you after I play the game. But ultimately, that identity of the different types of clan and the depth of the different clans is what made Bloodlines 1 very RPG'd. Very, very like RPG. And there's some things that the reviews mentioned that scares me, but it's most related to that. When it comes to choice and consequences, a lot of the choices that we had in the first game, they didn't have like the consequences a lot of people were expecting the second game to have. Because it's not Baldur's Gate, and that was my entire point. Yes, AJMB, I guess that's something you can do. You can play the different clans and stick to what the clans should have, you know, the abilities that they should have. But then I wonder if the story is different enough from the perspective of different clans. That I can't know. Again, a lot of things I can only tell when I play the game. Guys, I'm not comparing Bloodlines to Baldur's Gate. The reason why we started this, it's because in the beginning of the review that we talked about, the reviewer mentioned that RPGs in a recent memory having a lot of depth and choice that Bloodlines didn't have. And my entire point is, I can't think of a recent RPG that had that's not Baldur's. Of course, there was also Rogue Trader from Owlcat and the games from Owlcat. I realized that. But the point is, we shouldn't be comparing Bloodlines to that, because Bloodlines is not a CRPG. That's it. So if you're expecting a CRPG out of Bloodlines, well, that's tough. Because besides Baldur's Gate, I can't think of many RPGs that had a lot of depth in choices. I just can't. Your mom is a CRPG. And again, I'll be honest with you guys. To me, I don't care how many copies of Bloodlines are sold. I don't care who buys it, who doesn't buy it, who whatever. I don't care. The one thing that I care is that the people who have been waiting for this game for the past 5 years, that they have a good time. The only thing that I care is that there will be moments in Bloodlines 2 that makes me think and takes me back to the first game. Those are the things that I care. Because I feel like those people deserve the wait, and I want to see them happy. That's it. I wanted to have a good atmosphere. I want I want this game to feel sexy. I feel like it's one of my requirements. Does that make any sense? Because I feel like Bloodlines 1 felt very sexy. It's like Bloodlines 1, it was a very unique game that is strike like different like impressions, and that's what in fact Bloodlines 1 was so unique that I'm having trouble to put it into like words and compare it with other games, and ultimately I need to play the game to see. Yeah, I hope like Bloodlines to me was so exciting that it kind of like hyped me up for vampires again. I wasn't, since like Twilight was a thing, vampires kind of like died in my heart. And when I played Bloodlines 1, like it's kind of like vampires were reborn in my heart. And I kind of hope that Bloodlines 2 gives people a similar feeling. Does it make sense? Those are the things that I'm looking forward to. And I hope they're there. Because I feel like if they're not, no matter what people try to tell themselves, it's not about the money that companies are losing. It's not about the anything of that, because ultimately, why me as a gamer should care how much money a company is making? To me, is that simple as if we have a good game, we, people who like playing games, have more good games to play, and that's good. If we have a bad game, we, as people who like games, have less good games to play. So, I'm hoping we get a good game, because I hope that I at least, every now and then, I have a good game that I can go back to and I play, you know? Rather than I hope that a game is bad, because I don't know why would anyone want to hope for that. You know? Like, I just don't understand the logic. It's beyond me. So, I hope, and I still hope, the Bloodlines will be good. I don't expect it to be perfect, which means no game is perfect. Baldur's Gate's not perfect. I could sit here and talk about all the flaws of Baldur's Gate. I could sit here and talk about all the flaws of Cyberpunk, all the flaws of The Witcher. I still love these games. I don't expect games to be perfect. I expect them to be unique. I expect them to be fun. I expect them to give me some feelings that otherwise are really hard to achieve. Nothing's perfect. So, I hope that in 3 days, we can play Bloodlines and have fun and have a good time. And I hope the dialogue is good. I hope there will be some Malkavian dialogues that I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be sitting there reading the same line 1,000 times and trying to think, what the fuck is this Malkavian saying? Because it makes no sense. And I hope that the different clans, even if they don't share unique skills, they at least share very unique personalities of vampires. Very unique and distinguished, you know, feels to the whole thing. Duca Porto, I don't know if the guy talks normal. The Malkavian of the Bloodlines 1 had the weird letters. Obviously, they wouldn't put that in the second game. And I also feel like it was a choice to put that in the first game, because a lot of times I had trouble reading what was my dialogue saying. But just because the dialogue writes normal doesn't mean that they talk normal, especially because I don't think we had a lot of examples. Except of the Malkavian describing a computer, which felt very Malkavian. Malkavian font is Comic Sans? Oh god. Yes, and not all Malkavians are the same. I get it. I get it. Again, do you guys want to go play some Eno? Unless if you guys want me to have more mental breakdowns about RPGs and games. Somebody on said, this isn't a sequel, they used the name of the game to sell it. Can I be honest with you guys? I don't think that's a smart strategy if they use the name of the game to sell it. Because can I be honest with you guys? A lot of people who are younger than us, or maybe a lot of people who are the same age as us, they might not know the name Bloodlines. I'm sorry. Heck, before playing Bloodlines 1, I did not know about Bloodlines. I do believe the Bloodlines is very niche. So, I feel like if they wanted to just take the name of something to sell, they could have, I don't know, they could have made something with another franchise. Because Bloodlines is not, it's not that big. That's just like, that seems like such a conspiracy theory kind of vibes. Elite, the thing is, there is a reason why. You guys, Vampire Bloodlines is from over 20 years ago. That was an adult game. Odds are that a lot of people who played that game back then, one, they're not gamers anymore. Two, they're not alive. It has been 20 years! So marketing for an audience that was their twin, and mind if I tell you, Bloodlines 1 at release was not successful. The studio who made it closed. The game became a cult classic after that. After. In fact, as of right now, the game is not playable unless if you install the community mod that fixed the game and picked up its pieces. So, if you're gonna tell me that somebody's going to take the Bloodlines name to sell stuff, they're better off doing that with Star Wars, for God's sake. It just seems like a very high investment for very little to gain. So, I don't know. I don't believe in those conspiracy theories. I just hope that we have a good game. And I feel like if the game doesn't end up being good, I feel like it's more likely that instead of being a conspiracy theory, it's gonna be because one, they ran out of time, or two, they ran out of money. Because let's just face it, that's how it goes. There is no like evil plot or conspiracy theory or sheen behind the curtain. Nostalgia is a big sell. Yeah, exactly. Neiska, if they wanted to sell nostalgia, they could have just remade Bloodlines 1. So why did they put in the effort of not? That's a good point. And I feel like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but to me, like the fact that this game did go to dev hell, it could be like anything, but that they weren't happy with the first game and then they replaced the team that was working on it. If anything, to me, that shows that they care at least a little bit for it to be something more like actually good than bad. Because a lot of games, they don't go through this process. And that they still had money left over to work on a game afterwards for years after this happened. I guess part of me is impressed that this game is coming out. I feel like they at least had standards. Like, for example, Baldur's Gate was in the shelf for many years. Uphill both ways. I'm not saying that it always enhances, but at least it feels like something went on there. Yes, you guys, I know that there are many Vampire Masquerade games. I know. And at the same time, I know that there are some of them that are even older than Bloodlines that are good. Really good. But I find that a lot of people who play these games, they might not be around anymore. And I do also understand that a lot of the Vampire Masquerade games, they were not as good as some others. I'm still alive. I'm happy for you. And I hope you're alive for the next one. I hope we are alive for the next one. Especially because games are just, you know, taking so long to be made these days. I hope we all survive this. I never played Duke Nukem Forever. I can't comment on it. I played the original Duke Nukes, you know. So far, the best ones is still Bloodlines. Yeah. There is a reason why Vampire the Masquerade's Bloodlines is the only popular one. Yeah, so again, it's not like there were like different Vampire the Masquerade titles. So just let's see what happens, because I feel like we can guess. Bloodlines was everywhere online when I was a teen in 2009. Existential Girl, the game came out in 2004. So yes, the game had a very delayed rise in popularity. And I really wonder what games today that are unpopular, that will suddenly 5 years from now become popular. Isn't that funny? Isn't that a good thought? Because it could be that there are some really good games out there and you just don't hear about them. We just don't hear about them. But I do hope that we hear about some of them down the road. Taters was good. Taters is fucking legendary, bitch. I'm sorry, Tropical. You think Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is an unpopular game? No. It's popular, right? It's a very popular game.